Hello. Students, colleagues, friends, and especially the class of 2021. I am honored to welcome you to the 175th Convocation of Tilton School. Each year, this ceremony marks the beginning of the school year. Admittedly, the start of this year at Tilton has been unique in a multitude of ways. Some arrived at campus early, some late, and some are yet to join us. Zoom links, masks, thermometers, and a keen awareness of 6 feet have become normal parts of our life here at Tilton. We celebrate the opportunity to be together and share sadness that we cannot be with all of those that we love and care about. We recognize challenges to our ability to connect and yet bond deeply over a shared adversity. As we acknowledge the uniqueness of this year, let us keep our focus on the shared experiences and powerful impact these experiences are having on our lives and our understanding of one another. This will not be a year that will blend seamlessly into the fabric of Tilton School. You will not be a class whose presence at Alumni Weekend will be marked only by a 5th or 10th milestone. You will be a class that is known for how you handled a global pandemic, a call for racial justice, and a political awakening. You will be a student body that defined the way forward for Tilton. Your stories will carry great significance to the classes that follow, and their understanding of Tilton's mission to develop students who navigate a world driven by diversity and change. And so I offer a blessing to this year. May we be grateful for the opportunities that lie ahead and for the collective spirit that will carry us forward. And may our gratitude bring us great happiness. French journalist and critic Alphonse Carr noted that we can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorns have roses. And the Greek philosopher Epicurus said, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you have now was once among the things you only hoped for." To be here with all of you, facing these challenges together, was truly what I once only hoped for. I pray that we embrace and honor this year with gratitude for what we have. And what we have is each other. Amen.
Hello, everybody. This is the first chance I've had to really address you all in a formal way, and there were a lot of things that came to mind for subjects of a speech. So I started with why I came to Tilton, and we'll go from there. Even before the dawn of history, people were teaching and learning. Gathered in a cave, at the edge of a river, or around a fire, people helped each other discover new knowledge and skills to improve their lives. We know now that if you repeat that process for a couple 100,000 years, you wind up with the ability to build tall and strong, to cross oceans of water and stars, to solve problems like hunger and hurt. You gain the ability to move others to wonder and awe, the way Mozart and Michelangelo Stan Lee and Stephen Curry get to do. Over the eons, teaching and learning gained some structure. The way groups of fish schooled together, groups of scholars began to meet and discuss ideas on a schedule with mentors at hand. Patterns were established that helped eager minds grow from apprenticeship to mastery. Assessment emerged as an interactive and personal process, with learners defending their ideas through oratory or prose or practical application, demonstrating not what they knew, but how they arrived at that knowledge. We gained the Socratic Method, named after Socrates, who was basically an ancient Greek version of Mr. Landrush. We went on that way for a while. It was the mid-1800s when Mark Twain said, "I never let my schooling interfere with my education." Unfortunately, he wasn't just making a joke, as he was often doing. He was issuing a warning about a coming century of educational innovation during which learning systems grew increasingly structured but decreasingly effective. A friend of Twain's, a man by the name of Andrew Carnegie, rode the tech craze of his time, railroads and telegraphs and steel, and became a true tycoon. He was the 19th century version of Jeff Bezos and about as wealthy. And with his money, he funded countless organizations. Carnegie Hall and Carnegie Mellon are two of his many namesake institutions. He famously built over 3,000 libraries, and he funded a lot of educational research. At the time, the US was undergoing a massive expansion. Increasing numbers of students demanded greater efficiency in our school systems, and Socratic methods of assessment were too time-consuming to employ. The so-called Carnegie unit was created as a standard unit of measurement for learning. That's right, just as you measured Gatorade in liters, learning was to be measured in Carnegie units. And one unit, which today is often disguised in the language of a credit or a credit hour, you're familiar with those terms, you've heard them before, is about 120 hours of instruction, or for reference, the same length as this speech. So let me repeat that. A century ago, a railroad tycoon established the rules by which your education is measured. And today, most schools in America use some form of the Carnegie unit in their design. States use it as the foundation of their educational laws, and colleges use it to decide whether you've earned your degree. But wait, there's more. During this era, schools were industrialized. Learning spaces became lecture spaces, where teachers shared content to dazed and silent throngs of students. Letter grades were invented as a way to standardize the experience, and soon after, the multiple choice question appeared. This led to the greatest of all horrors. In 1926, the SAT was launched, a tragedy made all the worse by the lack of graphing calculator technology. Industrial education thrived. How could it not? It produced graduates at a rapid and steady clip. Over the last 100 years, this system meant that student-centered learning turned into school-centered educational systems. Schools were no longer communities of individuals riding the tide of shared interest and mutual support. Suddenly, a school was a building. It was about grade books and textbooks. It was about sitting in a chair and listening to things that other people had discovered, and other people had learned, and other people had written down. Grades were emphasized, and growth was left behind. Sit in class long enough, avoid an F, and you'd earn your diploma. Just as the paper books in Carnegie's 3,000 libraries are now a relic of a different time, the Carnegie unit and these other assembly line structures of industrial education have outlasted their utility, and yet they remain in place at most schools. They're vestigial, but they continue to clutter up the innards of our educational systems. And that brings us to Tilton today. Our school is a rare gem. Tilton remembers where all this teaching and learning began. That's why you meet with your teachers and advisors so frequently. That's why this school is so personal. That's why we don't have letter grades. And it's why we focus on essential skills and areas of discovery. Each of your teachers has successfully ignored Carnegie as someone who's no longer trending, and they're channeling instead the enduring methods of Socrates and his forebears. Most of all, at Tilton, we know that a school is not a building, but a group of people, and that everyone is a teacher. We learn from the person whose name is on the chalkboard, yes, but also from passersby who stop to help, from YouTubers who convince us to like and subscribe, from friends whose stories and examples engage and instruct. We learn from each other. That's why there's something truly special about learning together the way we do, day and night, here at Tilton. There is perhaps no better argument for us being here on campus this year, despite all the obstacles. These days we share are precious and wonderful. Savor them. So many things about this year are new and different, present company included. But rather than lamenting our losses, let's embrace the opportunity to learn anew. We are reliving education's origin story. Like our prehistoric ancestors gathered at the edge of a nameless riverbank, we occupy a landscape of the unknown. The essentials we carry are not things or even knowledge, but the skills we have to connect, to ask, and to share. As we travel together through the peaks and valleys of this year, we'll need to lean on our skills of inquiry and creation. We'll need to communicate and to be ever more mindful of how our actions affect those around us. And under the stressors we face, we need to give ourselves permission to play. That's what it means to be prepared for a world driven by diversity and change. It's not easy, but rewarding experiences rarely are. Michelangelo was said to believe that there's a beautiful statue trapped inside each block of marble, and his job was merely to release it. C.S. Lewis, the writer and philosopher, used a similar metaphor from the other side of the hammer, explaining that the pain humans feel is actually the pounding of God's chisel upon us, sculpting us into the people we were meant to be. Many students act as if their teachers are there to chisel away at them, to play the role of either God or artist. But that's just not so. You are the artist of your own being. Similarly, many schools treat their students like diamonds in the rough, ugly stones that only gain value when a master cuts and polishes them. But at Tilton, we think you're brilliant already. So in closing, instead of offering the words of another long-dead white guy, I'll share the comments of a more earthly and modern theologian. Recently, as I sweated along to a truly epic beat, my Peloton instructor dropped some memorable wisdom. Shouting over the chorus of the music, she spoke to her millions of followers. "Keep pushing," she said. "That feeling you can't go any further, that you can't push any harder? I know you think that's pain, but you're wrong. What you're feeling is called growth." It's going to be a difficult year, so remember that the pain and struggle you feel is not pain at all, but growth. And the revelations you experience are not the product of some external force. They come from within all of us, within each of you. Thank you. Next up, we have a convocation address from a recent graduate, Sam Alisea, class of 2018, is here to speak about his experiences. He has worked as a community organizer and activist, and I am sure you will be excited to hear what he has to share with us. So please welcome Sam.
him right now. Someone will shave. Sam shaves.
Mr. Bennett, are you out there somewhere?
So quiet.
Working out.
Is it plugged in?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak to all of you during such an integral part of Tilton's history. Moreover, I'm really happy we've been chosen as the alum speaker after such a memorable year. As you know, I'm working through my junior year at Morehouse College, and I'm studying CTEM, which is just a glorified way of saying I'm a film student. I did graduate from Tilton. My time here started about a quarter of the way through my junior year. The story behind it, just to keep it short, is just that my previous school had been for me, and I had known that for a while. But my junior year is when I finally decided to act on it. And my close friend who had just started his first year at Tilton recommended the school to me, explaining that they welcomed me in open arms. On that Thursday, they played on the front and for a tour, and just like that, I'm not going to explain. Looking back, Tilton was by far one of maybe the best decision I made throughout the course of high school. And I'm not just saying that because of your convocation speaker. Even the tough times, it was something that I understood. Even when I was upset, fourth grade that I got frustrated with standardized testing, or fed up with Mr. Lamroch's AP course, a natural reaction of mine to remind myself that I very likely may not have had an external support system such as Tilton School. And for that, I'm grateful for Tilton, and I'm grateful for Mr. Lamroch, and I guess I'm grateful for, Robert Frost and this and all that. Goes without saying, though, unlike all of you, I got to enjoy the Tilton experience in full effect, and even more than that, I got to experience high school as high school in its entirety. As a senior, I'm not sure, and I'm sure for the postgrads as well, I remember being eager to finish up with high school and move on to my next level of education. And I remember the college tours, the application process, and as stressful as it wasn't lovely, it wasn't always roses. It was definitely a memorable part of my life. And I remember my time on the quad with some of my closest friends to date, playing spike ball after a long day of school, sometimes even on a Sunday just for fun. And unfortunately, your class doesn't have the same luxury due to COVID. And for that, I'm not only sorry, but I almost feel guilty. I know I took these moments for granted. At the same time, who in their right mind would correctly assume that at some point over the next couple of years, spike ball would practically be illegal. But with that being said, my hope for your class, beyond the seniors and postgrads, but for everyone, is just that you realize a newfound appreciation of some sort for the benefits that in-person classes have to offer. And if not, I hope these words can serve as a wake-up call. Group study sessions or other in-person interactions in the classroom, even something as simple as making eye contact with your teachers, just so you know that you're being heard. These basic elements of everyday life have become less accessible and more of a luxury over the past 7 months, I believe. I've kind of lost track. I hope that you recognize this, though, and moving forward, I hope that you can take this realization with you and apply it to everyday life. I hope that moving forward, every time you step outside and can safely remove your mask without worrying about any risks, you savor the air around you and you take it in. And when we're allowed to go shopping without the need for 6 feet between you and the next customer, I hope that you can touch every article of clothing in the store and try everything on. Because why not? Because you can. It'll be legal then. I hope that you take the time to reflect on everyday life before COVID and not to be confused with dwelling on these memories, but just finding the time to appreciate your your life beforehand, because we are the generation that'll be finding the new normal post-COVID. And don't be afraid to reflect on the year that you've had, as tough as it's been. I mean, I can't imagine. You know, much like you, I never went through anything like this before, but unlike some of you, this isn't how I'm breathing going into high school. Freshmen and sophomores, most of you haven't even gotten to experience high school as high school. You've had such a long year, and COVID aside, you've been exposed to the absolute storm that is America's social climate. Between me and perhaps the youngest freshman at Tilton right now, there could be a 6 to 7 year gap between us regarding our age. And yet by the time I was entering high school, I had already been exposed to some of the same American horrors. I was 12 when the world first heard Trayvon Martin's name. And if you don't know who that is, I'd ask that you do some research on him once Convocation is over. But for me, my halfway point in high school marked one of the deadliest years for fatalities against Black individuals due to police shootings. It's 2015. And I'd be remiss if I forgot to mention that the same year was home to some of the highest numbers of mass shootings to disproportionately impact the Black community through such exhibits as drive-bys, according to the internet, gang-related events or occurrences. So while it's not ideal for me to create some sort of trauma bond between myself and the younger generation, it may be one of my only privileges to anyone else, as every other one has kind of been burned down. James Baldwin specifically taught me that what links an artist with another artist, and quite possibly what creates their drive, their will to change, is shared trauma between the two. We've all been inside for the past 7 months. You saw, just like I did, the killing of George Floyd on television, on air, on news, on Twitter. The 2 police officers that broke into Brianna Taylor's house and shot her to death were found guilty on a charge that didn't even relate to her. They got a sentence not for the bullets that had hit her, but the strays that missed and damaged some of the property around her. I call that acquittal. That's what I call that. I saw sweet Elijah McClain, against his own words, get choked out and later die while being sedated on his way to the hospital. What I'm trying to say is that being Black in America is becoming increasingly more aware at a very young age of the notion of one's death. I've seen my mother, who I know is on this call, get talked down by a police officer, or even just by another white person with white privilege. But lucky for me, she's stronger than many others, and she doesn't allow others to use their privilege to their advantage so easily. And that's not to say that she's stronger than any of the victims that I've named. But when you're as young as I was, when I first heard the N-word, for example, which was 6 years old, and you look to a parent for strength, for guidance, most importantly for an answer, and you see that they're just as handicapped in the situation as you are, because in the moment that a parent is called the N-word in front of their child, a Black parent specifically, or talked down to, which in effect can create the same response from the child, they have to decide on the spot whether they want to stand up and fight back against the abject cowardice that is racism, and walk home with their pride, and walk home with their humanity, and maybe even walk home with a proud child. Or, if they want to keep their job, suck it up, and continue to put food in their child's stomach. This is liable to create an identity crisis in any young Black child. Racism operates as a power structure, and this is one of the dozens of ways to execute it. And I don't know how to fix it. I mean, I have ideas, but everyone has ideas. What I do know for a fact, and what should be apparent to you all now, is that what we've tried to do hasn't been working, at least to the degree that we've been trying. And the more that Black people push back, the more we're asked for sympathy and understanding, as if racism died with the abolition of slavery. I understand all too well, and I do sympathize with the spiritual disaster that has been forced upon us in this country, but my pity has been run out. And we, as the generation that pushes forward the school of thought, and we, as the people that will someday be educating the children of our time to what is right in the world, have the tremendous responsibility of first educating ourselves to what America has to offer, so that we can beat the thing that keeps us down. A relationship moves in rhythm, meaning it's a constant give and take. And if it's somehow not enough that my humanity is in constant danger, I'll rephrase it for you because here it is too. If you were to put me in a prison, then I technically become the prisoner. But with that, you now have to watch the prisoner. So that makes two prisoners. You get what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is that we're in this together. And the truth is, in many ways, you're just as much involved in this crisis as I am. It's up to us and only us to get our feet out of the mud and move the bus forward. And frankly, I'm proud of our generation because we aren't as willing to take an alternative to racism. We're mostly aware of the transition from chattel slavery to the modern day prison system. And it seems that many of us have grown impatient because the time for waiting has passed and the bill is due. So I hope that you at least have an idea of the picture that I've been trying to paint. But I don't want to end on that note. I want to try something a little bit lighter. There's this activity that administrators make us do on the first day of college, and I'm sure that you've encountered it at some point in your lives as well. Typically, we're all sitting directly next to each other. We're all crammed in a little auditorium or something. So whoever is directed tells us to look to the people to our left and then look to the people to our right. You get a good look because one of these people won't be there by the year's end. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I think that if our time in quarantine has taught us anything, it's that we can engage in new dialogue, create new environments that previously and traditionally singled out other demographics and individuals. So with that, I've been told that although you are separated by class, I believe you're still, in a vicinity. And I got a good look at you as they're moving the laptop, so I know you're next to some people. So what I'm going to ask you to do real quick is look to the people to your left, if there's anyone on your left, and look to the people on your right, if there's anyone on your right, and look at the people in front of you and behind you, and get a good look. Maybe look for a new feature that you hadn't noticed before. If you haven't gotten their name, introduce yourself and figure it out. And get comfortable right here. Get comfortable, because these are the people that you're going to be spending the rest of your time at Tilton with. And quite frankly, these are the people that you may be spending the rest of your life with. These are the valuable connections, and most importantly, this is where you put your humanity to the test. Because it's not just business connections, it's emotionally, it's mentally, and it's spiritually. This is the who and the where that you develop your ideas. This is the when you ask the questions to get the answers. And this is when you get to make eye contact for an exchange of intimacy. Those around you right now are some of the people that plan to help propel your career in life in the right direction, and that's something worth cherishing. So with that, I hope that you took something from this. I hope that you were comfortable enough in front of me as I spoke, because I remember being a student at that time, and I spoke to Mr. Lamrosh about this recently. I often found it hard to connect with some of the speakers, as it was, whether it be age difference or, just difference in lifestyle. It was always tough for me to, feel what they were saying. But I feel like in a very strange way, this year has brought us a little bit closer in that I can get up here and talk about maybe how crappy my year was, but more importantly, how I hope for it to get better. And that's something that you can all relate to. Not just because it's broad enough, because it relates to life, but because we all went through 2020 and survived. So with that, again, good evening. My name is Samuel Hosea, and I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
I had the pleasure of meeting Sam over this summer, and he struck me immediately as somebody with not only a sparkling intellect, but a high degree of moral clarity. And I hope very much that's not the last we hear from him, and I'm happy to hold a mic for him anytime. Next up, we have a modern-day Socrates, Mr. Michael Landrosch, here to present awards. Mr. Landrosch.
Alex, is Sam still on this call? Is he still on the call? Do we know?
He's watching via live stream.
Oh, Sam. Jeez. To you, Sam, thank you so much. And Stephanie, Sam says that you're on the call too. We miss you both. We really wish you were here with us. We understand why you're not. But Sam, that was amazing. Thank you so much for this message. I want to thank some others too. Joy Jones, the woman who works with me. I am being modulated right now. That's an SAT word. Modulate. Okay. Joy Jones works with me. She's responsible, really. She runs the academic office, and she's responsible for this array of student prizes. Alex Sedgley and Sarah O'Neill, thank you for everything you've done to set up this event. They deserve a hand. So the tradition of giving prizes at Tilton, it started in, just get this, 1864. Like that's 2 years after the school, which when the sun comes up and you look down the hill and over the river and up the hill, on that hill was where the school was originally born. 2 years after 1864, it burned down and then was rebuilt here, and the original school is Knowles Hall. That was our school. In the earliest years of giving prizes, we did it during commencement, and they often included scholarships to support our graduates who were moving on to college. A lot has changed since 1864, and the values that the school holds dear, you're learning right now, you're learning at this moment. Those values are changing, and we're exercising those values with greater clarity. You heard a lot about them today, starting with Miss Love and Mr. Field and with Sam. What are those values? By now, we all know, if you didn't know before, Sam gave you the name. We all know the name Brianna Taylor, the 26-year-old emergency room technician who aspired to be a registered nurse. Shot and killed in March by the Louisville police in her own apartment as she was sleeping. We know her name. Perhaps you've seen the photograph of her and her boyfriend with that big smile of hers. It's almost, it's as if the cameraman caught her giggling or in a laugh. 8 months after her death, Brianna Taylor has become, like too many, a hashtag protesting systemic injustice against Black and brown people. So we all know of Brianna Taylor. We don't really know Brianna Taylor. I wonder about that. I wonder about who she was when she was your age, when she was in high school. This morning, National Public Radio reporter Jess Clark asked the same question. And she listened to the teachers Brianna touched personally when she was your age. To a person, these teachers characterized her, remembered Brianna as, and I'll quote, a smart and caring student and soul. She loved math, reflected Leah White, Brianna's high school math teacher. It was her favorite subject. She had such a beautiful mind, a mathematical mind. Ms. White goes on to say that as a younger student, a 10th grader maybe, Brianna helped juniors and seniors understand concepts that came to her as easily as riding a bike. All of us teachers have been new teachers at one time, and still, even after nearly 40 years, I worry about my lessons walking. Jennifer Fuchs, Brianna's first-year history teacher, thought the same. She said about Brianna, Brianna might not know what the right answer is, but she was confident enough to put herself out there, taking risks to learn more, and to keep a young teacher's lesson alive. Stephanie Holden, the counseling coordinator at Brianna's high school, said, so often, Brianna would find someone crying in the bathroom, and she would bring them to me. She was such a helping and giving spirit. And then Assistant Principal Eureka Dixon sums it up this way. Education and school were very important to her, and so were her friends. She says, you had to hear her giggle to truly understand who Brianna was. Brianna Taylor, as a high school student, as reported by NPR, and as a young adult, represents those qualities that this community today holds dear. Belief in the power of a strong education, a strong, educated mind, a commitment to just helping others in her life, the people she stumbles across in the classroom or in the bathroom, and a faith in playful curiosity and having fun, whatever circumstances surround her. These qualities, just as Sam said, we look around, we see them in everybody in this room. When you look into their eyes, you see these qualities at work. They comprise, as Mr. Thiel suggests, the constellation of Tilton's essential skills. So tonight, I'll identify a few students who distinguished themselves in the challenging fall of 2019 and in the exponentially more challenging, like that word, Mr. McCandless, exponentially more challenging spring of 2020. As I do, I invite us all to reflect on how we will bring these qualities alive in our lives now. And by now, I actually mean like right now. Right now. And when we step from this moment into our virtual and hybrid and face-to-face learning experiences on and off this campus. I'll first start by identifying this trimester's McMorran Scholars, students who through the winter and spring of last year demonstrated highly accomplished academic habits, the habits of just being a successful person and learner, and academic achievement, and a commitment to building up this community. Please hold your applause until I finish with each class, and then go for it. In grade 10, the current grade 10, McMorran Scholars are Callie Burns, Morgan Chen, Caitlin Connolly, Jaden Day, Julia Dolpes, Ben Lawton, Clara McDowell, Charlotte Filippi, Madison Stephen, Gary Dow, Sarah Thibault, Kai Soar, and Fletcher Waterman. Let's give them a hand. In grade 11, a little bit longer list. Allison Andrews, Sydney Baxter, Kylie Curtin, Riley Downing, Sophie George, Joyce Jiang, Wilson Lee, Robert Martufi, Seth McKenna, Alyssa Moreland, and Ben, let me make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, Bertha's Bob, Nick Nee, Hunter McPerkins, Diana Poland, Hyler Ruggles, Jack Twayrog, Sutton Orsillo, and Jet Wen. Let's give Jet Wong, excuse me. And in this room, Sointu Ahola, Jason Callahan, Stephen Chen, Olivia D'Amatos, Megan Gates, Josh Hansen, Sean Jin, Emily Labraciano, Connor Lally, Petey, Alex Lee, Tasha Lima, Amy Liu, Nelson Liu, Leighton Martinez, Max Paganini, Alex Ritter, Kyle Rollins, Mackenzie Saunders, Cam Shepard, Rain Shi, Alyssa St. Ange, Simon Wong, Andrew Lozen, Leo Yao, Howard Yin, and Matt Joe. Nice, nice. we're just going to move. Congratulations to all of you McMorran scholars. It was reaching this mark in the spring of 2020. That was tough to do. Nice going. I'm going to move to the prizes. I'll note, you should know, that the award recipients who have graduated will not be named today. We really do hope to hold a real graduation ceremony at some point, late spring, early summer, maybe, and we'll announce the recipients at that time when they can be together. Further, some of today's recipients happen to be residing on another continent and will not be with us to receive their awards. I hope they're watching this live feed. For example, our first recipient, Mrs. McCandless, would you come up to help me with the science prizes? Science prizes, that's you, science. The University of Rochester Voucher Honorary Science Award, symbolizing its commitment to discovery, analytic thought, and scientific progress. The University of Rochester makes this award to a student in the junior class who demonstrates exceptional promise in the sciences. And this is awarded to someone who is not here today, and that's Amy Liu. Let's give her a hand. The Hosea Burnham Prizes. This is a group of math prizes and science prizes, and you'll hear how they are awarded in just a second. The prizes of the gift of Dr. Hosea B. Burnham, class of 1850, are awarded to students who excel in mathematics and science. The Burnham Science Prizes are awarded to students who excel in science and who demonstrate strong interest in the application of scientific skills and knowledge to solving real-world problems in the global community. We have enough of those to keep them busy. In biology, the award goes to Jaden Day. Congratulations. In physics, another student in China, the award goes to Wilson Lee. And in chemistry, the award goes to Sointu Avola. Could you come forward? The Burnham Prizes in mathematics are awarded to students who've demonstrated outstanding creative problem-solving abilities in the core mathematic programs. Awarded this year to 3 students. The first student is not here. She's homesick tonight. We hope she's watching too. In Algebra 1, the award goes to Clara McDowell. Let's give Clara a hand. In geometry, the award goes to Sarah Tebow. And in Algebra 2, the award goes to Joyce Jiang. Thank you, Mr. McCandless. We also have a Burnham Advanced Math Prize. This is awarded to a student in the Advanced Math course who demonstrates superior level of creative problem solving in mathematics and a passion for mathematical analysis and abstract thinking. And if you have met Howard, you know he's pretty abstract. This award goes to Howard Yin. Miss Brisson, come on down.
What prize did I get?
It's Presenter of the Year.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, we have one athletic award. One of many. This year's award goes to someone who was an 11th grader. Female Athlete of the Year, awarded to the athletic department, to a girl who's contributed the most to athletics at Tilton. This year, awarded to Alyssa Moreland. Thank you very much. Ms. Smith. Smith, would you come down? The Donald Robert Dowling Prize, established by Robert A. Dowling in memory of Donald Robert Dowling of the class of 1926. This prize is awarded to the student who leads the freshman class in scholarship for the year, demonstrating excellence in critical thinking, communications, and creativity, working hard on behalf of the community, and always showing good cheer and character. This goes to Madison Stephen. The Holden Prize, founded in 1927 by Mrs. Sally K. Holden. This prize is to be awarded to a member of the freshman class who possesses the following qualities: maturity, helpfulness, good sportsmanship, scholastic ability with special reference to effort made and improvement shown, and lastly, and especially, dormitory spirit. Awarded this year to Kai Sword. The Scott Seldon Scholarship Award, established in the memory of Scott Seldon, the son of Robert, a member of the Tilton English department from 1950 to 1967, who, though basically shy, possessed unproved qualities for leadership, was compulsively generous, and unusually kind and thoughtful. His love for Tilton was open and sincere. The award is made to a freshman or sophomore day student who possesses the important characteristics of thoughtfulness and kindness, and should be a person who has helped the school by concerned participation in some way other than just on the athletic field. This year, awarded to Sophie M. George. And Miss Gadd, you can come forward. The Wellesley Prize Book, presented by the Wellesley College. It's actually right here. It's this one closest. Is that it? Presented by the Wellesley College Alumni Association of New Hampshire to honor a young woman in her junior year who has made an outstanding contribution to her school in terms of leadership, citizenship, and scholastic achievement. Awarded to Alex Garside. The Smith College Book Award, presented by Smith College Club of New Hampshire to an outstanding junior who exemplifies academic achievement, leadership qualities, and concern for others. This year, awarded to Sointu Ahola. The Eric Jacobson Memorial Prize, established in memory of Eric Jacobson, class of '74. This prize is awarded to a junior who has shown exceptional versatility and spirit in the performance of school activities, has been loyal and encouraging to fellow classmates, and has exhibited an unusual tenacity in pursuit of a goal. This year, awarded to Mackenzie Saunders. The Wells College 21st Century Leadership Award, awarded to a member of the junior class who embodies the spirit, integrity, and intellectual qualities of a strong future leader, and who has been recognized for academic excellence, community involvement, and leadership ability. This year, awarded to Megan Gates. The Harvard Prize Book, awarded annually by the Harvard Club of Boston to the leading secondary schools of the country to a member of the junior class who best combines excellence in scholarship with achievement in other fields. This year, awarded to Elizabeth, we know her as Liza Field. the award recipients tonight, if you could just stay where you are in your seats until after everyone has left, and we'll run through a quick photographic session, one at a time, socially distanced, and all of that. To the rest of us in this room, whether or not we've been recognized tonight, I just want us to all keep in mind, keep Sam's words in mind. You have the power of your voice. Inside of you is this power to grow in the ways that you want to grow, to develop your skills, and to make a difference in the world, a world that needs our help right now. As we leave this place tonight, let's figure out how we're going to do that. Thank you very much.
Throughout our time at Tilton, we will experience moments that shape our lives forever. Through our experiences, we will be introduced to writers who will reveal a new world to us, principles in math and science that shape new understandings, and lessons from history and world language that help us gain new perspective. Even more beautiful are the moments here on the hill, moments that are in between, unscheduled, when we are good to each other, when we share a part of ourselves beside a fire, when we are on the bus sharing music and singing, or when we're in the studio or stage, when we design, create, and connect. It is in these experiences at Tilton that shape our growth and will help us lead purposeful lives beyond the hill. Now is our time to commit to each day and every relationship, to immerse ourselves in the present, our time together. In closing, I would like to share some special sentiments. Please remember, it's the simple and sincere moments in life that are the most extraordinary. To understand the heart and the mind of a person, look to who they aspire to be. When you give of yourself, that is when you truly give. Thank you for sharing this evening together. We are all a part of something special. We are all a part of Tilton. Forever Tilton true.